Peter Obi said, can we meet upstairs? And I said to him, please, I'm not doing all this meet upstairs. Ojukwu spoke Yoruba fluently because I interviewed him. Peter Obi can lie. Even Wole Soyinka confessed to me that he fell for it, up to a point. Even the acceptability of the Peter Obi you are talking about pales in comparison to Buhari's acceptance. So I called out people, I said, look at the game Aisha is playing. They already have a candidate. At that time, I didn't know it was Peter Obi. They went and printed posters in Anambra State. I think it was done by, Valentine, accusing me and Okenibe of being gay partners. The elites came and said, look, if we allow one young person or all these young people to go with a person we can't talk to, we are finished. When we were running for election, I noticed something about him. If Peter Obi wants to take a private jet, he will go and enter through commercial place. So that he'll greet everybody, you think, and then they'll bring a vehicle and put him to go to the private jet area.
What are your thoughts on Peter Obi?
There's something that I've also seen as a general strategy to promote Peter Obi is to insert him into every conversation that people like us have, knowing that. But I will.
The reason why
I'll put it this way. You understand? Except somebody who doesn't know numbers, even the acceptability of the Peter Obi you are talking about pales in comparison to Buhari's acceptance when he first ran for office, in which he got 12 million votes against Obasanjo, and I think Obasanjo got 24 at that time, even though we know they made up the numbers. He ran again. That 12 million votes has been a constant or a recurring decimal in figures. And that time there was no social media, but these votes were coming in. So he was also seen as the most accepted person at that time as against those who win elections. So, but like I said, I think the strategy these days is to inject Peter Obi into every conversation so that you can keep the myth that it's accepted. But if you look at the numbers, I'm talking about their own numbers now, it doesn't look to me that this assertion is true. You can say that about some young people. You can say that about even some old people. You can say that about certain demographics, Christians, for instance, and some of them,
Christians,
Northern Christians, who, in their response to the Muslim ticket, was looking for somebody, and he fit into their bill. But if you want to have a honest conversation about acceptance, I don't think you are, diving deep enough to get it. But you have excused it by saying this is on the surface.
Yeah, social media. And
yes.
Stuff, yeah.
So, but that's
it's not real life.
It's not real.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
In terms of even the outcomes of their own elections.
Yeah.
So that's how I see it. But now that you got him injected into this conversation.
But what do you think of his personality? What do you think of him?
I know him as far back as 2007 or thereabout, when he was cheated out of the governorship at first, and he was introduced to me, not in person, but his situation, by a friend of mine I respect a lot, Okenibe. He's like from Anambra State as well. He's a great writer. And he said, this is Peter Obi guy. We were all in the US at that time, and he's been cheated. And we went to work. He was, never met him. In fact, I met Peter Obi for the first time with Chinua Achebe.
Wow.
At an Achebe lecture. Several years later, I think, when he was now already governor. So he came and he was telling Achebe. Ojukwu was there too. And he came back. This was the day I knew that Ojukwu spoke Yoruba fluently, because I interviewed him.
Okay.
And that day, it's still on the internet. And he said to Achebe, I'm meeting Sowore for the first time. This guy was the one who made me governor. And Achebe is like, yeah, I'm not sure, because Achebe and I were close. His family, myself, before, he died. I mean, I sought Achebe out on my own. He's someone I've always loved, his books and his intellect. Yeah. So, and then Peter Obi said, can we meet upstairs? And I said to him, please, I'm not doing all this meet upstairs. And my witness was his person at that time, Valentine Obenyam. That was his special advisor on publicity. Very, rabid guy like that. So, and a few years later, they came and said, this guy is such a substandard, liar. And we started evaluating Peter Obi's performance and found out that everything you heard in terms of publicity, and that's the way he was packaged this time around, was the opposite. Substandard buildings or things that were never done. They were packaging him.
Mediocrity.
Yes, it was mediocre. We got upset. And we started digging into it. I'm telling you, for the first time, to his governance, and found him to be a fake, as fake as they come.
I agree, 100%.
And he got upset. They went and printed posters in Anambra State. I think it was done by, Valentine, accusing me and Okedibe of being gay partners. So that's why I also knew that all the social media rabid attacks, he endorses it.
Yeah.
That's how he operates. But, he'll maintain dignified distance and act like if he sees you, he'll greet you like.
Yeah.
But besides that facade, Peter Obi can lie.
Yeah.
When we were running for election, I noticed something about him. If Peter Obi wants to take a private jet, he will go and enter through commercial place. So I greet everybody, you think, and then they'll bring a vehicle and put him to go to the private jet area. One day we arrived and we came to campaign, and I think we were both in Lagos. We arrived on the same flight. This one was a commercial flight. And he waited for me. Maybe they deliberated at the entrance of the plane. And I greeted him. By that very time, we took pictures. I had not left. I posted the picture of myself, and these people were like, Sowore has bowed down for B. But here is the next part. So we entered the vehicle. I saw him entering a vehicle, and I followed. Turns out he was going to the private section where they treat VIPs.
Oh.
And then saw him with a whole coterie of, I said, but you came alone, and they were all there. Apparently, those ones probably flew on a private jet.
Okay.
But he decided to fly commercial. And I now asked the guy who was driving, because we were in a car, a Hilux van. I said, let's wait and see what Peter Obi drives. Because I was actually expecting that he was driving, the Innocent Motors.
Okay.
Peter Obi had nothing less than 10 big Toyota SUVs waiting for him. There was this Mercedes Space Bus. And I was telling myself, why do you have to lie? So why do you have to cover up all this? Nobody's going to be upset with you that you're a presidential candidate if you have a convoy. But look at this trajectory. And that packaging is his style.
Yeah.
And if you want to get away with finding out, then he'll send his people after you.
Yeah.
So when you saw that I stood my ground in 2023 against him, I knew him. And he knew that I knew him. But there were guys who were against him in those days who didn't have the courage to come out again because they were afraid of the backlash. And they did a fantastic job of scaring everybody.
Yeah, for some people, it may work for some people. For some others, it only adds the fire to them to keep on speaking out.
So that's like I said, you wanted to hear this. Now you know it.
No, I've always known. The reason why I bring it up is kind of linking back to what we said about before. Like, for me, I always feel why did they choose Obi, at least on the surface level?
No, let me explain to you a very succinct explanation. And see, after NSAS, anybody who is a student of politics or history knows that the young people who fought a system they never thought could capitulate, because the system capitulated under NSAS.
It was shaky.
It was shaking to its core. And they saw it. They usually go for power. And when that happened, he was presented to them as the new face of the struggle. And it was all packaging, like I said. The elites came and said, look, if we allow one young person or all these young people to go with a person we can't talk to, we are finished. So they had to invest in that. And that was what produced him. And the people that did it know themselves. They were the NSAS connoisseurs. The people who made it through NSAS, who became popular NSAS. They all rallied themselves together. And I was aware when they were planning it. But I said, how can you do this? Because this guy is establishment boy. Those were the first set of people that started attacking us. And I can mention their names. Aisha, we were in a group. Macaroni was there, Deji Adeyanju, Aisha, Faz, Femi Falan. We were in a group after NSAS, and Aisha kept saying, whomever is here, you should go and run for local government to House of Rep. And one day I called her, I said, who's going to be president? She said, I don't care. Just make sure that anybody, we go and take over. So I called our people, I said, look at the game Aisha is playing. They already have a candidate. At that time, I didn't know it was Peter Obi. But they had been working on that ground before that time to present him as a candidate. And they had prepared who was going to be a stumbling block and how they were going to attack everybody and overwhelm everybody so that nobody can oppose their decision. It was a tyranny of a minority.
Yeah.
Even Wole Soyinka confessed to me that he fell for it up to a point. He's like, I was almost endorsing this guy. And then he woke up one day and his name was all over, and he said he was asking, what did I do wrong? What did I do wrong? It turns out they just picked on him for no reason. And he became, even though he didn't participate in the election, he became, the most ridiculed person after the election. That was what got him upset.
Yeah.
And he said, if this is my last assignment on earth, I'm going to let people know who you people are.
Yeah.
Yeah, so